I love this. Other people doubting you is one of the best fuels.
Man in the arena. They all have an opinion.
Tough sport, losing sucks.
You could feel his pain though.
Oh man, I know.
Oh, hey there. Come on in.
Hey guys, how's it going? I'm Nick.
And I'm Anthony.
And we're the Pulley Twins. And we are starting a new series where we react to athletes' injuries.
So our first athlete.
But Conor's accuracy and power. There's that killer instinct. Kid looking to finish the fight.
And still put the flow random pass, but for my money,
Conor McGregor. He knew something was going to happen.
I think, especially when it comes to an injury, a lot of people don't think about it, but it's really mindset. Like, you have to be willing, okay, you know what, I got a long road. If you have the mindset of, I'm gonna do whatever it takes to get back, and clearly McGregor is saying McGregor forever. He's committed and he's gonna do whatever it takes to get better, and that helps. I mean, especially us as a physical therapist, like if you get a client like that, you know they're gonna get better.
It shows how mentally tough he is. To go out there and say, yeah, I knew something was gonna happen. There's that saying of you can do anything physically, you just have to convince your brain, your body, your mind to do that. If you knew you were gonna go in there and say something was gonna happen to that ankle, it's a different levels. It's a different sport. You're throwing kicks. Maybe if it's boxing, you can get around and get away with it. But
yeah, I mean, I watched that fight, and watching him say that he knew something was gonna happen, I would think that he would change his game plan and not throw as many kicks, because he was throwing kicks in that fight. That would be one criticism I would have of Conor, just not changing his game plan there.
But I think the difference with Conor is Conor wants to prove it more so to himself that he's the baddest man on the planet.
That's part of every great athlete, right? There's an obsession. It's that inner drive that you really can't teach, I think a lot of people are motivated by exterior things where that stuff kind of, fades though. That motivation fades once you get it, right? But if that inner motivation, if it's still there and, you grow up in a tough area and it's hard to get rid of.
I think there's, if you're not progressing, you feel like you're falling behind, you're regressing. And for McGregor, the fighting that he was always progressing, there's a level how can you stop? Oh, I have my money, I'm not gonna do anything. You always try to do something, and especially for an athlete or a fighter, that's a small window of time. So if you're closing that window way too early, there's probably not a way to open that back up unless they open up a older fighting division.
Yeah, you want to maximize your time, whether you're doing it for legacy. But listen, we're all humans. We're all here to have an experience, and why not try to maximize your experience on this earth? And I feel there's something about walking to the cage that he's never gonna ever replicate outside of normal life. Even if you have the biggest business deal, maybe for some people they get that feeling, but for him, he's not going to get that same feeling unless he walks out to the cage and does what he's, I guess, made to do in a way.
Or are you when I touch it?
It's tender. That's sore as well.
She's obviously really good at her job.
No, I think it's just unfortunate with the circumstances. He's, flying to New York, back to Vegas. That's going to increase swelling just with the air pressure, so that's not helping his recovery. She stepped in now. I don't know if she came in right after the injury happened. I think the sooner the better.
Whenever you can train in shoes and it's not going to affect you, I would do so just to keep it so you can't catch it and really flop it out more.
Well, no, she works at the UFC Performance, so.
She was doing great. It's just, I think the circumstances a little late with the flying not helping, but I like the shoes idea. I think that you're protecting and you're still able to fight, get your skills, and protect that. So almost like if you put your foot in a boot to kind of take the pressure off. So
the more you work, the better your sleep will be, right? You're supposed to be active, right? So yeah, that's why exercise is so good for you, right? When you exercise, your body needs that sleep, so it's gonna get into that state probably easier, right, than if you were just sitting on a couch. You might not get into a deep sleep, or you won't get into it as long as your body may need, just because you're not really exhausted.
So there's different stages of sleep. So when you're actually getting your full night's rest, you're going through these ups and downs. And that down period, that deep sleep, is where you're getting a lot of that recovery. Your body's kind of cleaning things out. So the more that you get in terms of that deep sleep, the more you're going to recover. Now, there's a bunch of things that we do when we're awake on the outside to help kind of facilitate that process. But at the end of the day, you're not really recovering like throughout the day. Your body's going through the process. It's when you kind of lay down, turn everything off, and then the focus is solely on repairing the body. If you're not getting that, then you're putting yourself at a really, really, negative situation. You're not going to get the positive reinforcement you need to recover fast.
Your body rebuilds itself when you're sleeping. So if you have less sleep, there's less rebuilding.
But it's a quality too. It's a deep. You got to get into the deep sleep.
Yeah.
And even if you sleep for 8 hours and you're kind of being on the light side and getting like REM, you're gonna feel the same way. You might as well be up. There's definitely a correlation with exertion and deep sleep when you're healthy.
Yeah.
I think when you start to play around with, let's say, caffeine really late, or you take a pre-workout, like, all right, now that's going to affect your sleep. Alcohol is going to affect your sleep. Even, gummies or the whole, like, THC kind of thing, like, you're trying to artificially manipulate an environment. Your body's always going to try to find that balance, but you're messing with that balance. You may not get the same benefits from it.
Him right now is a return to himself.
So those spots on Conor's back, the darker circles, those are cupping marks. Usually it could be a plastic suction cup, it could be a glass cup, but some therapists will throw a flame in and then quickly put it on the body, and that kind of help create this pressure inside the cup that will bring the muscle, the fascia, the skin up into it, and that really creates a good, strong tension hold. But it's like a stretch. It's like a localized stretch in an area, but that'll also bring blood flow to the area. So that's why you'll see like darker circles once those cups kind of stay on that spot for a period of time. Could be a couple minutes to get a therapeutic effect. So that idea is they're anti-inflammatory. They stretch out the tissue in a localized area, so they help to improve mobility, and you just feel looser after the fact.
Tough sport. Losing sucks. Even when you do, quote unquote, lose, you might look back at it 5 years from now like, oh, actually that was a good thing. I needed that, right? Being a spiritual being, I know that we're here to grow. We're having an experience here on earth, and we're here to grow. And that's the whole purpose, I think, of life.
You probably get more from your challenges, from your defeats, than you do on your wins, your victories. So I think for Conor, watching him lose to Khabib, again, just remembering that day, it was sad. I was rooting for Conor, man. I wanted Conor to be the undisputed, baddest man on the planet. It didn't go his way, and, you think he can spiral, so, short term, you're like, oh, man, this could be bad. But when you, long term, bigger picture, all right, what do you take from it? Do you become a better fighter? For Conor, it seems like he went more spiritual. Hey, I can get lost in this world that I'm not used to, even though that's how we know Conor. In the grand scheme of things, Conor was 25. How much fame did he have? That's two, 3, 4, 5 years max. That's something you got to adjust. Most people in the world don't know what that world's like or what that feeling's like. For a tough loss, and then to sink a little bit lower, but to come out on top or higher in a different way that, most of us don't understand. That man in the arena, and they keep showing that stuff in the episode. It's like, oh, Conor, he's done fighting. Oh, he can't do this. Oh, he's too old. Everyone who's not a fighter, who's not in those shoes, judging from the outside, saying, oh, it's this, or he can't do that. No, only he can know that. So a really great episode. Wow.
So there you have it. That's thoughts and opinions from a physical therapist's view on, McGregor's injuries on the first episode of McGregor Forever. One lesson I've got from this episode is, you can't do it alone. It takes people. We have to come together. You got to have a team. You're not going to know everything, right? Conor knows, fighting, but yeah, he needs doctors and therapists to help him with his injury. He doesn't know how to, recover from that. So, and then I'm sure he has a nutritionist as well. But at the end of the day, don't forget, we're all in this together. It's all about people. Get a great team around you, and you're gonna do great things.
He's confident. He believes, and he doesn't give up. It's like no matter how much the odds seem stacked against you, or things may not be going your way in a certain moment, you have the confidence, you have the belief in yourself, and you just keep putting in the work. Good things are gonna happen.
Be sure to subscribe, guys.
And we'll catch you in the next one.